Welcome to season 2 of the Fit to Love podcast show. Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Tasty Tuesdays. All about cooking, all about nutrition, and all about you. Enjoy the show. Having a hard time losing weight and can't figure out why? Did you know there are 7 factors that contribute to weight loss resistance? Come on over to fittolove.tv/quiz and find out if one of those factors is sabotaging you. Today's show, a paleo pizza crust. I promised it early on in the season. If you didn't see our paleo cheese bread way back when on a Tasty Tuesday, I did a paleo cheese bread and said it was kind of the same recipe. And it is. So you can actually just take that recipe, I'd add a little bit more flour to make it a little drier, and then you would spread it on your pizza stone and put it in the oven. Now, I'm gonna cheat because I wanna introduce you to a brand that I think is just really great. Chibi. This is Chibi. This is paleo pizza crust. The flour is tapioca flour. So just like on the paleo cheese bread, like I said before, it's not low glycemic, but it is still paleo. So it's probably a little less inflammatory, and it comes from a root vegetable. So we're not looking at, again, lower glycemic, but it is still gluten-free, it is still technically grain-free, and this just makes it super easy if you don't want to have to deal with measuring a lot of stuff. So Chibi also makes a focaccia. They make a cinnamon roll, they make sandwich buns, they make breadsticks. So it's a little hard to find sometimes. I would definitely recommend ordering it online, but if you find it in the store, definitely give it a try. So the first thing we're gonna do is I have 2 eggs in here. I'm gonna beat the eggs. I'm gonna have the water, it's a 1/4 cup of water. Then we've got 2 tablespoons of oil, and I'm using organic olive oil. This is so easy. You really have to try this. Okay, and then I'm going to put in my flour that's already mixed. You don't have to measure anything. It's already mixed. Of course, did I open it well? It's going to make a mess. Tapioca flour is messy. It goes everywhere, so be very careful when you use tapioca flour. See? And I'm trying to go slow. There is a little oregano in this mix, so hopefully there's not a problem with that. You can also use the sandwich bread and the breadstick to do the same thing. So if you, for some reason, don't like oregano, use that mix. Now, it calls for a cup of shredded cheese. I'm going to use just a little bit of the Daya cheese. We'll finish the bag. I have another. Okay, mix that around and see, make a mess. Sorry, it's not just me. Yes, I am the messy chef, but it's also the tapioca flour is messy. Now, I have a spoon out on my pizza stone because gluten-free and paleo pizza dough flours don't act like wheat. You're not going to be able to roll it out with a rolling pin unless you have parchment paper, and that's just way too much work. So anytime I've had a gluten-free crust, or this crust, which by the way people prefer to the gluten-free crust, I use a spoon to spread it out on my pizza stone. This is actually a little drier than my paleo cheese bread, so I think we're going to be good to go. Okay, so I want to put this on the pizza stone. Now, the recipe on the box says to put your toppings on it and bake it. I'm going to say no, don't do that. I'm going to say put it in the oven first for about 7 minutes and get it cooked to a certain degree, then bring it out of the oven, put your toppings on it, then you're going to put it back in the oven for another, well, until it browns, until whatever you want. Now, I actually can use my hands. There we go, look at that. We're going to use my hands, they're clean. Of course, it's going to make a lot of noise with the pizza stone. If you have extra tapioca flour and you've added too much water or too much oil and it's too sticky, just add more tapioca flour. Okay, it's starting to get sticky, so I'm going to use my spoon. And you want, yeah, that's working. And you want to make sure, down to your fingers. You want to make sure you thin it out because this is going to puff up. One of the complaints about gluten-free pizza crust is that it's flat. And you may like flat and crunchy, and that's fine. But this is going to go and rise and be puffy. So you want to make sure it's thinned out so that it's not too puffy. And maybe I'll just leave it puffy so you can see. If you're going to add, if you're not dairy-free, I would recommend a sharp cheese like a Parmesan in this. Otherwise, you can omit the cheese altogether. You don't have to use the cheese. All right, just because for timing purposes, and I really do want you to see what happens, I'm gonna leave it at this size. However, this dough, see my ring on my stone? I can take this dough all the way out to this edge. I just have to do it a little bit longer, but I just want to show you how much it's gonna puff up. So this is gonna go in the oven at 450, like I said, for about 7 minutes to start. Make sure you time it, and then we're gonna pull it out. Then we'll put our toppings on it and put it right back in. Okay, so as you can see, the pizza, I didn't spread out the pizza dough and it's really puffy. So I would not recommend this, but I want to show you how puffy it gets. So make sure you take the time to spread it out all the way to not the edge of here, but you know, like what our normal pizza would be, like a normal medium pizza size. So I actually had this in for about 10 to 11 minutes. You just want to make sure that it all gets kind of generally cooked. If it's not cooked in the middle and then you put your toppings on it, it'll stay uncooked. So now that it's all sort of generally cooked, I'm going to add my sauce. And for a great, easy homemade sauce recipe, make sure to visit the Tasty Tuesday where we did your homemade tomato sauce. If you don't have time to make tomato sauce or no desire to make tomato sauce, then just make sure you get a good organic brand. I've tried a few organic brands from our favorite Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and that are kind of plain, and just make sure you taste them first because sometimes there's no salt or they're just, I mean, I love my sauce. I can drink it, but these sauces are, you know, they're fine. They'll do for when you're in a pinch for time. Now I'm using Applegate uncured turkey pepperoni, my favorite pepperoni, because for me when I have a pizza, you know, people like to go, oh, I'll get vegetables. Okay, what they're cooked. So I like to have pepperoni pizza and then just have a salad if you need to get your vegetables in, or of course you need to get your vegetables in, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to put some pepperoni on this bad boy. I love it. I can't wait to eat it. It smells good. It will be thick. And I also, one of my favorite things to do with pizza, now that after going to Chicago, that will never change, is when I made my chili oil. That was on the episode with the 5-minute omelet. And no, I have not shared that recipe yet. But if you ever go to Tres Soldi in Chicago, make sure you get their gluten-free pizza with their homemade chili oil. And if you tell me enough, if I have enough of you, beg me, maybe I'll make it on the show. So now I've got my pepperoni on there. I'm going to use my Daiya cheese. Now there are other vegan cheeses. Just make sure they don't have carrageenan in them. Carrageenan is a preservative that actually has been linked to bowel cancer. So while this isn't the closest to mozzarella, it works. So I'm only going to put a little bit on because it does get kind of weird consistency when you put too much on. So just a little for flavor. And then what always makes a pizza look extra special, takes no time and has no calories, is dried parsley. So look at that beautiful green. So pretty. Okay, now I'm going to put it back in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes. I'm just going to watch. I'd like it to be, you know, a little bit more brown around the edges. So you just want to be here to watch it. So again, 5 to 7 minutes in the oven. And then we'll see it when we come out. Okay, our pizza is done. This took just a little bit longer because it is thicker. Remember, I don't encourage you to make it this thick. You're going to roll it out a little bit more. I would leave it in the first time for more like 10 to 12 minutes, put your toppings on, and then this actually stayed in for like another 10 minutes because I wanted it to be brown around the edges. So enjoy your Paleo pizza crust, and if you remember the chili oil from, like I mentioned before, this is what it looks like. So dig in and let me know how you love it.